Det Hjemsøkte Hjertet.
Yep, that's what we're going to be listening to today, guys. Panopticon, if you are not familiar with Panopticon, it's a one-man band. He resides, I believe, currently in Minnesota. The music is a mixture of black metal, folk metal, death metal, and atmospheric, kind of cinematic, big scope music. This is going to be a vibe check today. We're going to be hanging out in really just kind of taking in some really chill, well, it's a black metal band, so as chill as you want it to be, I suppose. But Panopticon is a very cinematic, vibe-oriented black metal band. And I've loved all the rest of the albums that I've heard by him, and I'm very excited to listen to this today. This just came out, and this is the end of a trilogy of records that he's been doing. What is it called again? I forget what the trilogy's name is. I think it's the what is it? Hold on. I'm looking it up real quick here. As you can tell, I am not an expert in any of this at all. I don't even stream very well. I can't find it. Once I had it, and then once we got streaming, I fucking lost it. This record's not going to be for everyone's tastes, but if you are open-minded and ready to experience a rather atmospheric, cinematic, folk-heavy version of black metal, you are in for a treat, because Panopticon always releases extremely solid albums. So I'm looking forward to this. We got 7 songs running at 1 hour and 6 minutes. The pronunciation, as I had said before, or I didn't say it, I forgot who actually did talk to speech on this. I think it was Omar who did it. I believe it's said Det Hjemsøkte Hjertet, I believe is how it's said. I apologize if I've absolutely annihilated that, and I know I have, but that is the title of this album. The first song is Woodland Caribou, running at 12 minutes and 10 seconds. I saw an interview on that scene from Donald Gibb. He said that scene with Bolo wasn't supposed to happen, and he put him over. He went into business for himself. That's what happened. All right, let's get to this, guys. Let's make this happen. Sounds like we're breaking through tree branches. This is beautiful, man. The strings, that beat that's almost poppy, along with the atmospherics where I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's somebody I think it's somebody starting a fire. It sounds like someone breaking a bunch of branches and starting a fire. Let's go back a little bit. Beautiful. Possibly. What up, Panda? Welcome in, bud. Welcome in. Man, what a beautiful vibe. The mix is so wonderful. The harsh vocals lead you to believe we're going to hear, typical black metal instrumentation, but so far this just seems to be a really chill, kind of somber piece. I'm loving this so far. Welcome in, Panda. Do I ever do individual songs, or is just albums off the list you got? No, we do individual songs every once in a while. Every time you guys put something on that list on the Discord, we go through it. And we're up to date as far as I know right now. I know after this record just popped up on my feed, so I kind of wanted to listen to this today. I have been listening to Carmen Jaka a lot lately, at least a few singles, and I see the album came out, so we might do the full album Diamond Morning by Carmen Jaka in the next number of days if I get the chance to do it. But if you ever want to play any of you want us to sit and listen to any of the songs that you guys are super into, put them on the Discord, and we will we'll do them on days that I have an opportunity, or even after the albums that we've chosen to sit and listen to. We'll listen to some of the individual songs. If they are songs that you have created and you want us to listen to them, please designate them as such. Please designate them as such so we can put you guys over. So we can send links out for the music, regardless of what our thoughts are. That's kind of the point of all of this, right? Is we're all kind of discovering music, and some music's for us and some music's not for us. But I'm always 100% cool with anybody out there that creates music that wants us to sit and listen to it and talk about it. I think that's amazing. I love it. I love listening to people be creative and put their art out there. So please, in the Discord, if you go down in the description of the channel, you should find the link to the Discord. Go to the music channel on the Discord and then post any links for stuff. Let me see. Let me catch up with chat right here. Yeah, the album's pretty great. Listened to it a few times already. Has some nice surprises on there too. I put that one. Yep. We listened to it already. We've already caught it up. We've already caught up to it, Panda. We've listened to all that stuff that's on there. And my quick observation on that song was I liked it when it was black metal. I didn't so much like it when the clean vocals dominated everything. I liked it when the clean vocals and the harsh vocals mixed, because it felt more natural to me. But the song was cool. The song was cool. Ultimately, it made me interested to hear more. That's for sure. Yeah. I've been listening to new music on my own time since you've been doing these streams, something I never do. Fuck yeah. That's what this is all about. I've been listening to a lot of music too. And I'm glad we've been doing this, because it has been a bit of like a push in inspiration to get back into really deep diving into music. So that's cool, man. I love that. I like that for all of us. These are definitely the kinds of albums where you just turn them on and just kind of chill out, right? It calls for you to experience them as opposed to just passively, put them on as filler. Sorry, I hate to stop because the vibe is so immaculate. I'm wondering if you guys could tell me. I'm not sure if in the left channel, if that is a guitar that is distorted, kind of like this almost ascending kind of sonic texture that's in there. It almost sounds like it's guitar, but I can't quite place it. Let's go back a little bit. I think it's vocals. I think those are vocals. Like clean vocals. No, it's some guitar in there, I think. Just super distorted and full of reverb. It's hard to, it's almost like it's been transformed into something else. You hear what I'm talking about, Panda? Yeah, it's a very interesting sonic texture. I think it also could be keys, because there's definitely a bed of keys in here as well. Oh, that's beautiful, that guitar. I love this so much. This reminds me of, I don't know if you guys are super into this kind of music, but post-rock. For a long time in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I was super into shit like Godspeed You Black Emperor, Cioros, Mogwai, Tortoise. What was the other one that I was listening to a lot too? God, it's escaping me now, but it's really slow building cinematic rock and roll that is more concerned with like somber tones and just mood than anything else. I wonder why my chat keeps pausing. It's so weird. And this is the kind of music that just like, as opposed to, you just looking for hooks, it makes you feel, right? It's evoking mood rather than it just being a quick dopamine hit, right? I listen to to a bit of prog that dips into the post-rock stuff at times. Outrun the Sunlight is probably me. I've never heard that. I'd be totally into hearing post-rock prog. I mean, to an extent, most post-rock is kind of prog, to be honest. But I've loved the mixture of post-rock and black metal and shoegaze and metal. A few bands that I'm super into that kind of combine those elements. Eldamar, if you've never heard Eldamar, really good, another one-man band, I believe from Sweden. I'm not 100% sure on that, but there's more traditional folk metal sonic textures in with the black metal and atmospherics, but it's a real cool act. Another one that unfortunately is no more, one of my favorite bands that kills me that they're no longer a thing, But if you're into Panopticon, obviously you should be probably aware of Numenorian. If you've never heard Numenorian, they're a Canadian band that only put out 2 records and an EP, and their music is absolutely like beautiful and emotionally devastating, and just like such a vibe. Such a huge vibe. People have trained to equate slowness with sadness and artistic depth, what I think is tragic. I don't think that's 100% like immediately what the emotion is with that kind of stuff. And I kind of agree with that a little bit, but obviously I don't think this is necessarily sadness, right? What is, when you're hearing this song in particular, what is the emotion that's being evoked from you guys? Like, what are you feeling while you listen to this? Rolo Tomasi and Kardashev are 2 bands I listen to that do the death gaze at times. Yeah, I love death gaze. I think it's, or black gaze. I'm too backrooms brained right now. Let's get back to it. Oh, it's great. This is pretty, up until this point, the amount of Panopticon I've heard, this is pretty on brand. Like, some of the other stuff I've heard is obviously compared to this song, is far more noisy and far more black metal leaning, but it shifts all over the place. But this is a pretty typical Panopticon experience so far. There's sadness, but not suffocating sadness you get with other stuff. Absolutely. I agree with that completely. While it's somber, what the fuck? Go away. While it's definitely somber, I feel like the slowness in this music is more equating to being present. Like, unfortunately, the artwork is informing, because the song's called Woodland Caribou. We see caribou on the cover, almost in an oboe shape. And that woodland, vista. And when you slow down in life and let nature kind of inform you, it's not necessarily always, happy. Like this, seeing this, the sounds that we're hearing kind of, I feel like really suit the artwork that we're looking at right now, and maybe that's short-sighted of me, but I think it's cool. I don't feel sad by this music at all. It almost feels comforting. I've always kind of taken in this kind of stuff, and it sounds like it's just about to kick in, the harsh vocals that are, heavily reverbed and kind of backwards in the mix, almost like the voices of the ancients, like the ancestors talking from a far distance. That's how I've always kind of taken when I hear this kind of stuff. Sadness is a big part of the latest Vedharta album that came out last year, and it's not particularly slow. Yeah, this kind of music in general kind of has that vibe, right? those strings and the keys are beautiful. The big thing with a lot of this music for me is how a lot of it's tuned really low, right? So that bass really cuts through and gives space for a lot of the melody that's happening in the upper register. Really mixed well, super mixed well. Oh boy. Now listen to that. It kicks into the black metal and you can still hear, at least in the right channel, like sit and really listen to this. You can still hear accents from the strings happening in the midst of that. It's a really full mix, so to get that through there is, wow, what a feat. Let's kick back a little bit here. Oh, let's go back. Apple Music's so stupid. Look at that, now it kicks back. What a piece of shit. That's really cool, dude. Ooh, that's nice, those drums. God, with those strings, that is so huge. God, that is so huge. What a beautiful sound. Are you going to upload some of your latest TikTok dances to this song? I don't know. I don't have very many TikTok dances, to be honest. It's like, how does this get bigger than it is? God, that section has to be one of the coolest sections of metal music I've heard this year. That was so fucking huge, man. How do you make something so fucking heavy yet be so delicate and so beautiful at the same time? What a fucking amazing section of music. That was insane. That was so fucking good. Do kids still do the worm? Of course, everyone still does the worm. What do you fucking talk about? Ooh! Nice mix up. As before, just like it's when this song shifts in the new sections, it starts minimal and then just gradually builds with more and more and more elements. Like this jammy fucking syncopated rhythm section is rad as fuck. We're getting into the metal shit, but now listen, the strings are starting to come back in. What a fucking great song. Oh, that was fucking good. All right, so that's our first song, Woodland Caribou. The next song, The Great Silence, Extinct. A mere 8 minutes and 54 seconds. All of these songs are going to be a journey, except for our sixth song, which is only 1 minute and 43 seconds. Wow, I'm really excited. That was a really great fucking first song for this album. I should have expected it. Most Panopticon is quite amazing. But damn, that was such a good fucking song. Wow, that is going straight to my fucking... where's my black metal playlist? There we go. That's going in there. Let's go. it's almost kind of like oddly happy and optimistic because of I don't know if I want to say it's like the chord progression's like a major chord progression, but it's just like, it's definitely not like going into the typical kind of like somber tones of it's almost happy. This makes me want to buy beard oil. Jesus fucking Christ. I hate Apple Music. There we go. Oh, that's nice. This is almost like poppy for Panopticon. Like, what is going on here? That whole section is oddly super melodic, given the amount of distortion and heavy drumming and screaming that's going on in that. That is a lot to take in. It's cool. I'm loving it. Saw they were raising the price of Spotify again. Fuck Spotify. I'm not a Spotify person. Fuck them. Building extensions, jams for inset windows in the customer, one of those designer type, Lisa Simpson's, and she's doing the dumbest shit ever. What are you talking about? Are you on the job right now? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, this is a lot right now. This first song it definitely doesn't ease you into it the way the last one did. We're just like right into the maelstrom. My husband got sent to wire an escape room yesterday. It was, oh, that's whimsical, but they had AI art of cats all over the fuck. Jesus Christ. People are so weird. This is such a weird world, isn't it? What sets this apart for me from a lot of similar metal, the technique that's on display for how these riffs are being played, is that they're very open, right? Like, there's not a lot of chugging going on. You're not really hearing like standard, very staccatoed kind of riffing and playing of the notes. It's all very open, so that these huge riffs that are actually not particularly fast, like what's being played, maybe some of them are a little faster, but it's just like, it's so open that it fills everything and just makes these riffs sound so huge. Omar is saying they want trimless windows with plaster mud skimmed flush with the edge of the extension jab, and they are electing to use fucking plywood instead of maple or red oak for the extension. Oh, so they don't want this stuff to last very long, is what you're saying. They're looking to not spend much money, and in turn, in doing so, ensuring that this shit is going to fall apart. Is that what you're telling me? Let's get back to this. Like, the thing that I think is really deceptive, and a lot of people, maybe fans of this kind of music are well aware of this, but I think maybe people that don't listen to a lot of this stuff think that the guitars are doing a hell of a lot here in this music, where the drums make it seem like there's a lot faster playing going on than there actually is in those guitars because of, you know, the kick drum just going a million miles an hour. Oh. That was a weird change. Let's see if we can get Apple Music to play this instead of playing some of what we were listening to and then going back. God, it's so annoying how this is working out. Maybe I might have to try to play this in a different fashion going forward because it's kind of disorienting. But there was a weird kind of time change that happened there and then turned into something else similar to what we had heard before. Let's listen to this again. That was a weird time change. There it is again. I like that. It almost starts like there's two sections of this overall bar that's happening, this repeat that's happening, where the first couple bars are just pretty much straight guitars and vocals, and then it builds the second half of this section with strings and keys, I could be wrong, to just fill that out a little bit. That's really cool, this round that's going on. Sounds so huge. It's almost like that there's a little like alt-rocky kind of lightly strummed, like 2-3 notes that are going that's in the background that's quite delicate that's going on, but it's in the midst of this pure chaos. Again, listen to that. There's all this going on, that those drums with the blast beats that are going on and the screaming vocals, but there's this very dainty, delicate, like violin passage happening right in the middle of this just maelstrom of pure fucking metal. Like that shit is so wonderful to hear. Sit and listen to that, guys. Put your listening ears on. Oh, interesting. This is almost alt-rocky. Like, there's been a lot of elements in this that have leaned me towards some, like, voicings that you would hear with, like, Dinosaur Jr., or you'd hear with, like, maybe Hum a little bit. I know maybe this will fall on deaf ears, but there was a song that Deaf Heaven put out a few years back called Honeycomb that kind of wrote a line. It was never as noisy as this is. I mean, it's pretty fucking hard in the beginning, but then it almost turns into like a 90s alt-rock song. And there's some of those elements peeking through in this that I really fucking like. That's really cool. That was almost like Pumpkins. Oh, that's wonderful. A fucking wah guitar solo. What in the fuck just happened, guys? This song is wild. What is happening right now? Listen to this shit. That's fucking crazy, dude. There's so much going on. What a crazy ass fucking song. Oh, we're walking somewhere. Okay, we're obviously going right into the next song. We're gonna start that a little before. That was almost like a fucking black metal alt rock song. Like, that was oddly like a single. As much as I liked Woodland Caribou, that song was fucking crazy. Like, I'm going to have to sit and spin that a few times and let it cook. Because I have a feeling I'm going to walk away really loving that song. Like, it's a lot for me to process right now. There was just so many elements that were going on. My ears were constantly being pulled in a bunch of different directions, and I didn't know how to take what it was I was just listening to. Holy shit, that was a lot. Like, did you guys expect a full-on triumphant wah guitar solo at the end of that song? Like, Panda, how are you feeling about this album so far? This is fucking crazy. I'm loving it. All right, so the next song is Blood and Fur Upon the Melting Snow. I was sat with the sun casting crazy tree shadows on me high as hell, just vibing. That is this album, dude. Karios, if you're digging this so far, I have a feeling you would like Panopticon quite a lot. A lot of their stuff kind of invokes this. Gives me a lot of folky vibes generally. There are a lot of folky vibes. Do you think maybe that is just because of the stringed instrumentation that are giving you that vibes? Because I don't particularly think, especially The Great Silence, the song we just heard, was very folky. I felt it was more informed by alt rock than it was the typical like folk metal type stuff that we've come to know in the genre. Especially compared to the first song, Woodland Caribou. This last song, man, it was almost happy in a lot of ways with the way that the I don't know what the lyrics are. We don't have the lyrics. Maybe we should pull the lyrics up somewhere if there are lyrics to be read here. I'm sure there are, but I don't know if anyone's put them online. This is a brand new record. That was a drastic change in tone. That was crazy. So Blood and Fur Upon the Melting Snow is the next song, and this is going to be an epic. Let's listen to him as he's walking through the snow in his snowshoes. The way they're utilized, I could hear that. compared to a lot of this stuff and compared to like the first song, I think Woodland Caribou felt so typical of the genre, like where, as we had said, it wasn't necessarily sad, but it was somber. And that's pretty like what's to be expected with a lot of these albums that reside in this kind of like black metal, post-rock, cinematic metal genre. These last two songs are like oddly happy. Like they're jangly and happy in a way I don't hear in this kind of music very often. I think you mentioned earlier punk rock as well, and sometimes the pacing gives me that as well. Yeah, it's oddly like peppy, right? And I think some of that is just the tonality of the chord voicings he's deciding to use, and the fact that there are leads happening, whether it's in the guitar or the strings, that are just not in your typical like minor key. And it's just like, man, the weirdly happy post-rock black metal, like this is blowing my mind right now. Maybe I need to listen to more Panopticon. I've heard them in the past, but I've never really dug super deep or really sat with the records as opposed to putting them on and just kind of having them play as I'm doing stuff. So maybe I need to give Panopticon a little more time of my time. Do you hear that piano that's going on in the right channel? Listen to that. It's like this music is so almost oddly optimistic and happy, and we don't even know what he's talking about. I'm gonna look up the lyrics for this stuff. This to me sounds like metal if Cyril Rose was doing it. It sounds very like that piano and the run that's happening sounds so Cyril Rose to me. Let's see, do they have lyrics to these? I'm not seeing any lyrics posted. So I think we're kind of out of luck. Let me look on the Bandcamp here. I'm pretty sure on the Bandcamp he's not going to have that. There's a huge history if you want to sit and read about what's going on. We could dive super deep into it if we really wanted to. Because look at all this. Oh my God. This first part is literally just about the Woodland Caribou. Let's see here. Where were we? The Great Silence. Oh my God. That's, if you guys really want to read up on what this album's all about, he has it. Look at this. Austin has an entire write-up about what this is. I don't know if right in the middle of this we're going to sit and read about that, but maybe after the song we might read some of this. Let's see, an epilogue of sorts, the aching rhythm of the haunted heart, the closing of the Laurentian trilogy. On Woodland, Caribou, and Cedar, so much of this album is about things that passed. In truth, the entire trilogy broaches the subject and returns to it over and over. The trilogy touches on similar subjects throughout, but from different perspectives. And again, Into the Light is a personal reflection and lamentation over real-life events. The Rime of Memory is ideological, drawing a metaphorical comparison of the climate crisis to a midlife crisis. Rime reflects on the consequences of aging and a life lived. Det Hjemsøkte Hjertet reflects on how we as people are the sum of our parts and experiences. The way we see the world is through the foggy lenses of our memory. And then one day it all stops. I have this thought that life is this runaway train that only stops when it crashes. We are unwitting passengers riding to our doom. As the train gathers speed, the sights seen from the passenger car windows become less enticing as we become more and more aware of our own eventuality. That is some heady shit. It's so self-important. I just think, there's a lot of big ideas that he's trying to express through this music. And I don't think that's like pompousness or pretentiousness. I just think that, if you have something that you want to express, and if it's bigger than what normal pop music is allowing, then explore it. I don't feel like he's fart sniffing here, if that's what you're implying. I hope you took your shoes off before listening to this. Let's read one more section here. This is on the Woodland Caribou. Woodland Caribou once roamed the Northwoods of America. And like so many things, they gave way to a new species, a white-tailed deer that followed the saw north. These very animals preyed on the saplings of the woodland caribou's habitat and food sources, the white cedar trees and boreal lichen. The deer spread disease and outcompeted the caribou to the point that it wasn't sustainable for them anymore. Succumbing to disease, starvation, and simply abandoning the region, the woodland caribou became a thing of folklore in these parts. A central theme in the album's lyrics and stories is the Scandinavian immigrant culture of Minnesota. It is something that was brought over by Nordic immigrants and remained a stronghold in Minnesotan culture until it was outcompeted by an American culture obsessed with trends and technology. As such, the very descendants of those immigrants became more interested in pop culture phenomena than the tired culture of their grandparents. Minnesota's culture has long been largely based on immigrant populations that will remain so, in my opinion. To resist that eventual change is a fool's errand. Just as the forest's dominant flora and fauna ebbs and flows, so does our culture based on who's living here. If we wish to keep aspects of our own individual traditions, it is simply up to us to keep those flames burning in our own lives as individuals and families. Unlike woodland caribou, we are not being outcompeted. We are simply losing interest in things we once thought defined us in an ever-diversifying ecosystem. We are slowly letting our lives pass us by until one day we look up from our distractions and it's over. Okay, that's, wow. I mean, Minnesota for the most part, because I'm familiar, because I've gone there quite a bit. I live in fairly similar environments, even though this area that I live in currently is more, there's some Norwegian, but it's mostly German based like heritage that goes on around here. I'm not of those things. I mean, I have German in me. Just through blood, but most of my heritage comes from Italy And so I've seen a lot of this happen, right? Where because of where I live in Wisconsin, and Minnesota is similar to a certain extent as well, because a good majority of both of our states are rural, and to see some of the culture that has diminished and been taken over, not just by, technology, but just progress of capitalism, right? That some of the need, and I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely noticed that in the younger generation, and maybe it started with my generation, like the Gen X and things like, and from that point on, that maybe the traditions of old just haven't been held as strongly as they used to. So a lot of culture isn't what it used to be, because it's all being co-opted by capitalism and just force feeding the same thing down our throats, right? Every place looks the same. All the people feel the same. There's no individualism. So this idea of using the metaphor of the woodland caribou and the white-tailed deer, basically running them off by taking all their resources, and having that metaphor, basically run alongside of what our capitalistic technological society has done to the old ways, is an interesting concept for sure. Has he just read Kierkegaard for the first time, you think? Interesting. There's been an angry bug trap somewhere in my house for 3 days, and it's buzzing again. I feel like I'm going crazy. Maybe you are. So that kind of seems like that is the theme of this album. And you can kind of hear some of those sounds happening in the music, right? Where you have this more traditional, the strings and maybe some more traditional black metal post sounds being mixed in with a more like alt-rocky pop sensibility that as the songs are going along is slightly pushing it out, right? Maybe I'm reading into it a little too much, especially after reading that, but that's the way that it sounds to me. I kind of want to start this song over, and let's go from there, because I kind of want to take in the entire vibe of this after reading some of that. There's a lot more we could read. Honestly, look at this. Look at all this. There's a lot you can read. If you really want to dive more into the concepts behind what's going on in this latest Panopticon record, go to the Bandcamp page. Austin has basically everything just laid out there, and I think that's fucking cool, dude. Like, I feel I'm of two minds when it comes to explaining the lore for Omar, the lore behind art. I'm one mind. I firmly align with the David Lynch credo that ideas are power, and that once an artist puts those ideas into reality, it then no longer is theirs. The idea has life, and then whoever consumes that takes upon that idea and turns it into something new and different. I love that. I at times feel like art is over-explained and it takes away from the personal experience. But then with music such as this, that's just so broad and so big, it's interesting to hear the artist's perspective. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to take away from the art, because obviously, as I had said before, once any art is put into the world, you can't expect whoever consumes it to have the same experience as the creator, right? But it's cool to hear how that was created and why it was created. Doesn't mean that that's the end-all, be-all meaning of what this is. I'm too much in the same camp as David Lynch is like any art that you go to see, regardless of how it was or why it was created, that doesn't ultimately decide what its life is, right? Do you want some more herbal tea there, Doc? You don't like digging any deeper than surface level, Omar, I think. I would say the vast majority of the lyricism in prog is very interpretive. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pop music that's pretty on the nose, right? But if you're doing anything else, there should be interpretation, right? Everybody takes things and reinterprets them based on their own experience, right? So if you guys are digging this and want to dig deeper, definitely go to the Bandcamp and read on there, because there's some cool ideas that do kind of like inform some of the maybe the music, like the shifts in tone that are happening within this music. It's cool stuff, man. Let's start Blood and Fur Upon the Melting Snow again, which is oddly a very upbeat song. I was not expecting this. Oh. Stupid fucking... I hate Apple Music so much sometimes. It's not letting me do this. It's not letting me do what I want it to do. All right, come on. Here, we're going to have to restart this. Hold on. All right. Here we go. If I'm fixated on something, Backrooms currently, I find a way to make the music about the thing. That sometimes, yeah, I can feel that. This is so pleasant. Not that, like, other black metal that you listen to isn't, but this is so pleasant in a way that it just puts a big smile on my face. It doesn't really, like, make me, you know, fuck yeah. No, this is just, like, very sonically pleasant and puts me in a very happy place. This is wonderful. This song in particular so far. Like the last song, I'm going to have to let spin a bunch. I loved it, but it was a lot to take in at once. And this song, this is almost, so far, feels like, are Panopticon doing a pop album? What is going on here? starts dropping off. Some clean vocals, guys. There's xylophone going on in the background. Oh, this is my favorite song so far. This feels like a fucking Mogwai song. This is so fucking pleasant, so spacey. The inclusion of those clean vocals. Oh man, this hits spots in me that I haven't been hit in a while, because I haven't really listened to a lot of like post-rocky stuff in a few years. I've been just focusing on other things, but man, this is beautiful. I love it. I was almost hoping, not that I don't like what's happening right now, I was almost hoping they would have extended that even further and just started building the heavy guitars into this being the ultimate climax of it. I could have used a little more time there, I think. But, fuck. This is so good. There are times where I like being able to sit with a particular part as well, Panda says. New Carmen Jaka album has a couple parts like that. Actually, not many bands for me pull off that particular type of repetition. I think coming from being a fan of post-rock, you learn patience. Because most of those songs, sometimes some albums have songs that are upwards of 20 minutes long. And it's more about the vibe than it is about hooks. Queer Panda. Nice. I don't know if I've heard that. Beer Jesus. I'm going to look that up. How are you doing today, Beer Jesus? How you doing, man? Have you heard this new Panopticon yet? It's fucking amazing so far. Jesus. Fucking Omar hates everything. Good to hear you're well. Try out. Okay, let me look this up. Oh, I've heard this album. I absolutely have heard this album. This is a really good fucker. Thank you. Thank you so much for reminding me of this. Yes, this is a really good album. Really good album. I haven't heard it. If you guys haven't heard, don't know what we're talking about, this is the album he's talking about. Kaido Imos by Queer. This is a really good fucking record. Black metal is a hard sell for you? Really? So how are you feeling about this Panopticon, Panda, if black metal's not a huge sell for you? Because it seems like you're into this so far. If you're into this, there's a lot more black metal that I could sell you, dude. If you're into this. Good job. This isn't a metal album we are listening to then. You don't think this is a metal album? Interesting. Ishan is good. I like Ishan. About as far as you go generally. Is more tech death? I mean, if we really want to go down the rabbit holes of genre, right? Or of grouping bands into, specific boxes. I don't know. At least the song that I heard of Neobliv, it seems like it rode a black metal line for sure. and blackened progressive metal. I think there's more black metal in stuff you listen to than you would believe, Panda. It's because of their harsh vocalist and drummer. It's how they arrange it. That's true. I can hear the elements. Oh, absolutely. I agree. Let's get back to this fucking amazing song we're listening to, guys. Oh man, those vocals. What a huge section, man. I just wanted to zone out. This is the kind of music where it's going to be hard for me. Like, we normally sit here and we're constant. I know we've done it a lot so far, but we constantly are like shutting off the music and talking and letting flow of conversation take us wherever it goes. But this is just the kind of music that I just kind of want to just sit and vibe to, right? It just comes in waves. This is such beautiful fucking music. I love it. Let me catch up with chat here for a second. Panda says not to say there are other things in there as well, but especially their first album has more blackened vibes into it. Black metal to Beer Jesus is all about the inner self finding rebellion in such a small space. So when you find it, you'll enjoy it more. Hope you find some more that you enjoy. Yeah, dude. Mostly through textural devices or general vibe. Thing I tend to stay away from is if it sounds like it was all recorded on a single microphone in an abandoned warehouse during a hurricane. Yeah, I can see where there's a lot of that sensibility of black metal has gone away unless you go into the super underground Cavolti black metal stuff that is just more traditionalist, that finds like the Norwegian second wave of black metal to like that early sound of like Immortal and Dark Throne and Mayhem. in Burzum, like early Burzum, if that's the sound that if you there are certain sects of black metal that will hold that to be the only sound that's black metal. I could see how that it's a very abrasive sound, and if you're not into that, you're never going to be into it. But a lot of that has kind of washed away in a lot of black metal, and it's expanded to a far more cinematic scope, where there are so many different sounds and voices and colors of black metal now that those sonic textures that are apparent in the really lo-fi sounding stuff now have just been broadened with bass in far better production, right? And it just, I think there's more black metal in a lot of metal music than a lot of people want to admit now. How influential that shit was and how it changed the landscape of metal. It can't be really like undersold. I'm in agreement with Beer Jesus. Black metal to me, a lot of it, because there's so much space to feel and to think in the music that your mind kind of wanders, and it is a journey of self-reflection. Like a lot of the music, even if you don't know what the lyrics are or what's going on, and I hope, for my tastes, obviously you guys, however you feel, but I'm very anti-fascist, very discriminatory, anti-bigot. Anything that overtly goes into that realm with black metal, I completely run from and do not listen to, which is like once I grew up, Burzum is not a thing I listen to. You know what I mean? And thankfully, there are people out there that'll help you sort through all that. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I don't agree with that stance, and I don't promote or want to be a part of anything that holds, white supremacist, racist views in any way, or bigoted views in any way. And thankfully, black metal has expanded past that very narrow scope of thought and ideology, right? Not super nationalistic as a person. So they're very, as Panopticon, I would definitely say goes in the line of the music of self-reflection, right? Of maybe looking a little deeper within not only yourself but the world around you and how you interact with it. Black metal does a really great job of plumbing the depths of like the human experience, and that's why I love listening to it. Not just because I find the music extremely rewarding and beautiful, even in its most harsh forms. I just think it allows the listener a chance in life to slow down a little bit, even with it being at times really extremely aggressive, loud, sonically forceful music. To me, it makes my brain slow down, and I like that. I love that so much. Let's see. Textural is just a lack of melody. And does everything have to have melody all the time, Omar? I think we've been trained by popular music to constantly need melody. And while obviously melody is pleasant, I do feel that like this music here, vibes and atmosphere are just as necessary as melody. So it's part of the experience to me. For me, it's more open-ended than that. It can be super subtle in the way to the entire soundscape. Exactly, Panda. That's exactly the point I was trying to make there. So I hope, Panda, and I hope for anybody with these streams that we do with these albums where we're just exploring a bunch of different music, that some of these genres that not only I haven't really explored as much. I obviously have heard Panopticon in the past, and black metal, post-rock, black gaze, death gaze, whatever you want to call it. I'm familiar with the genre and I love it dearly. But I hope some of you out there that haven't really dug into this, that you get a inkling to get out there and explore some more. And that's why I also encourage you guys to send music over to me on the Discord channel, and we can explore that together as well, because I'm always open to hearing new stuff. But so far, 3 for 3 on this Panopticon record. This is an awesome record so far. Let's get back to it. Oh. Was that a gun? That was the best song on the record so far, for me. All right, we're on the White Cedars. This is far more traditional black metal song than the other ones that we've heard up until this point. This, to me, feels right at home in what I would expect if I turned on a black metal record. 100%. This, let's start this one over again. This is very traditional black metal. Let's see. Is this gonna let me? Fucking Apple Music. You can eat fucking shit. Very wave based, right? Like, it feels to me like you're just riding in a boat cresting the water, right? It's super nice. It's super pleasant. The tonality of like those keys that are layered, the key bed that's layered with those guitars. It's just this swelling kind of wave that is just so lovely to listen to. It sounds like we're about to change up though. Let's go back a little bit here. Oh, interesting. There's your folk. That bass that's playing underneath is so tight. It's so tight where everything else has this kind of like really wet feeling to it, right? Including that fiddle that's playing right in the midst of that. Listen to that bass just kind of like tautly playing in the background. It's a cool little texture that's going on. How does when you hear this kind of music, guys, please chime in the chat. How do you feel about the juxtaposition of this pretty hard black metal with this very traditional kind of string-based folk fiddle playing and stuff like that? It took, when I first heard this kind of stuff coming around, it threw me for a loop, and it took a little bit for me to get into, because there's something about it that I just revolted against. But over time, I've come to really love this kind of stuff. I love that bass. That's a nice combination of the two. This section reminds me a lot of that band I had referenced before, Aldemar, which the keys that are playing, that's almost like an operatic singing voice in the background, is so much more prominent in that Aldemar music. But this whole song kind of has that feeling of a more like old traditional folk music mixed with metal sound that Aldemar kind of just like specializes in. This feels so much bigger and so much dirtier than that music. But it's similar. It's beautiful. Like the melodies are very similar to a lot of stuff I've heard on his records. So this is pleasant. I like this. So far, this album is just, it's blowing my expectations out of water. I noticed that when I looked up the last few records, how much Panopticon has put out in the last couple years that I missed. Like this entire trilogy that this album is the conclusion of. Last year, 2 albums came out. I was not aware of that. Looks like I have a lot of listening to catch up on. Holy shit. Little Alcest. Feels a tad bit like Alcest there. That's cool. Okay, before we jump into that, we're past the halfway point of this record. We have 3 tracks left. One of them is actually only 1:43 long. So far, I'm giving The Great Silence a fucking star. This is a 10 for 10 album so far. This fucking thing's amazing. I am absolutely loving everything about this so far. Looks like we're about to kick right into some fucking real shit with the culture of wilderness. Little tougher.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in face mark.
I don't know if anyone actually heard that. I only saw the chat come up. This music is so loud. I don't know how that came through. You heard it? Good. That's probably a good place to stop for a second. It feels like we've gone straight into fucking black metal, starting with that last song, The White Cedars. This is following the same route where it felt like song 2 and 3 were much happier, much more kind of like pop tinged, like black metal with alt rock tossed into them. We are firmly going into hard folk black metal now, and this is a cool tune. This has an edge and a toughness to it that the rest of the album hasn't had so far. Couldn't hear anything over the strings. Yeah, I couldn't either. I saw it come up, so I paused just so Mark could get his text to speech. Welcome in, Mark. But yeah, I couldn't really hear it. Those vocals are cool. This felt like this section here felt kind of messy. Like this was really tight, really aggressive, and this felt kind of loose in here. I like where the vocals are going with the echo that's being tossed, and it's just like spatially really interesting and big to hear. Let's see if they bring this round. I'm loving those deep vocals. This is a lot chunkier than anything we've heard on the album up to this point. Kind of horror movie soundtrack right now. This section really reminds me of, have you ever heard Triptychon? It's Tom, what's his nuts from Celtic Frosts, kind of doomy band. No, what's it? Okay, why am I not remembering? This is driving me nuts. I'm pretty sure that's how... Hold on. Maybe this will just come up here. What's his nuts? I'm so terrible with names. Yep. Triptychon. Yeah, if you guys have never heard Triptychon, which is the lead driving force behind Celtic Frost, a band he put together. He hasn't put anything out in like 12 years. They did a live record that came out a few years ago. Jesus, 6 years ago at this point. These two records are so fucking good. Millennia and Chasmata, what a fucking wonderful record this is. It sounds a lot like what's going on in the music here. So anybody that's interested in what's going on here, definitely explore it more with Triptychon. This stuff is really fucking cool. It sounds a lot like that stuff. Oh man, listen to those vocals are fucking tortured as fuck. It's like a goddamn demon is talking to us. Oh, I fucking love it. Oh, those are so fucking cool, dude. For a second there, the way that the cymbals are sounding almost made it to my ears sound like compression happening because of the air and the space. But no, it was just cymbals. For a second there, I was like, whoa, what's going on with the mix? Why is it getting so fucking... Nope, those are cymbals, baby. I like the cascade effect that's happening with the vocals as they're becoming more tortured as they go. It's like DK, 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 and they just like the vocals are becoming more and more raspy and tortured as they're going on. That's a really fucking cool effect. That was a cool tune. That was a really cool tune. I loved that. Feels like we are triumphantly escaping hell with the strings, right? That was that song, Culture of Wilderness, the most overt black metal tune on this record. That was a really cool tune. A tune in it. All right, now Lyset. This is the shortest song on the record, which I'm guessing is just going to be a setup for the final song, which is almost, and Omar is going to love this, almost 14 minutes long, Ghost Eyes in the Firelight. So we're at the end of the record, guys. This is going to be it. 1 minute and 43 seconds of Lyset. Let's get to it. And I think I'm just going to let Lyset roll into Ghost Eyes of in the Firelight. A big fart coming up. I know how much you like extended huge songs. It's your favorite. Yes, I think everyone saw that video. That video got pushed out there so much, dude. I saw it no less than 3 times on my feed pop up. This is a nice little break. I feel like in some of these albums, like I like albums that are just in your face and constantly moving forward and heavy, but also I like albums where this is a much more cinematic, broad scope of an album where they take breaks in between, just kind of zone out for a little while. We're just gonna let it roll into the next one. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, listen to that. Is that steel guitar? Lap steel? It's a really beautiful melody. This is fucking awesome. What a great change. You know it's gonna kick in at some point, but goddamn, how beautiful. Cariosa's husband had her watch a bunch of videos yesterday of the Dead Kennedys recording in the studio. Those guys had so much energy, they made me tired. Oh, fuck, I love the Dead Kennedys. Good for him. Feels like we're rounding back. Like the first song was more contemplative and slow and melodic like this one. Kind of. I totally see where you're coming from with that. It does kind of have some of those, and I think again, as we were saying with like song number 2 and 3, where they had more alt rock kind of leanings with some of the guitar voicings and the chord progressions that they were doing. Perfect Circle kind of was that as well, right? Where it leaned more into maybe some of the more somber aspects of like Smashing Pumpkins and stuff like that. This, I could see where you're saying that. His voice at times kind of sounded Maynardish, didn't it? A little bit there. I could see where you're coming from with that, for sure. This right now, his voice kind of sounds oddly outlaw country to me. Like, it's got a twang to it. Oh, that's so nice. Man, I didn't want that section to end, like, ever. That was so fucking amazing. God, that got me right in the chest. Like, that, when it hit, and it hit big, oh, God, that was fucking beautiful. God, that was so good. I was feeling it too, Cariosa. Reminds you a bit of Wydek? Yeah. I could see that. Fuck, man. That was so huge. God, that was beautiful. The moment of the album for me. Like that, this song so far, this might be my favorite song on the album. This, and that's saying something because I really liked Blood and Fur Upon the Melting Snow. And I also really liked A Culture of Wilderness. I thought that was such a good song. This one, though. Whew. Polish guitarist that makes instrumental post-rock space gent stuff. That sounds amazing. Let's see where this is going now. That bass, so good. Real subtle guitar work going on in that background to create those bed textures. So meditative. It's like I've had a hard time wanting to stop this song. It's so meditative. It's easy to just vibe to. I hate doing what I'm doing right now. Hate doing it. But that's what we do here. God, that's so fucking dirty. Oh, here comes the strings again. Do I hear banjos? No. I don't know if it's wolves you're hearing. I think you're hearing like a sparrow, like a woo, like birds that are going back and forth right now. There is a lot going on in this mix right now. I think you're hearing strings, loons. There you go. Thank you. You're hearing that. You're hearing nature. You're hearing strings. There's just so much going on right now. Welcome back, Xbox. We're right at the end. He sure was. Bell. That was the song of the album for me. For me, Ghost Eyes in the Firelight, best song on the album. I'm gonna start doing this now. I put up a poll. You guys let me know, rate what you thought of this album. Put your votes in. We're gonna do it like this from now on. It's gonna be out of 5. Go ahead and post how you felt. Those of you that have been in here listening to this album with me, get your votes in, how you feel. Do you know the intro theme for Chrono Cross? No, the ending reminded you of that? Oh, wow. Well, interesting. Wow, it's across. You guys are all feeling way differently about this album than I was expecting, to be honest. I was expecting pretty uniformly you guys would really be into this. Maybe I'm totally off on this. If you want to give me more of your explanations as to what you thought, definitely post them into the chat. But otherwise, get your ratings in, vote what you rate this album. I don't want to steer it in any way, but I'm going to tell you flat out. If we're going to start rating these out of 5 as opposed to 10 the way we have been. Omar tried to give it a 0. I know that 2 is probably Omar. I don't think Omar liked this album very much. Me personally, I felt this album was wonderful. It was fine, Panda. Okay, cool. Does it expand your mind on the kind of like the scope of black metal and what black metal could be? Would you actually like dig deeper based on your listen to this album? Omar's tastes are really refined. Sorry to all hipsters out there. It didn't offend me. I gave it an exhausting 4 out of 10. I personally, and this is just my opinion, obviously you guys rate this however you want to rate this. I would give this, as of right now, I would probably rate this a 4.5 or 5. I will be listening to this again. Whether or not this so far up until this point is my album of the year, I don't know. It's close. It's like this was wonderful. I loved this tremendously. Had a really great time relaxing. Awesome, Cariosa. I have a feeling, Cariosa, you and I tend to agree on a lot of this stuff. I'm really glad you're open and into kind of some of these more extreme tangents of metal. I mean, I generally know what to expect with specific aspects of black metal or things influenced by it to an extent. He wasn't yelling at us. Out of 5, yes, X-Pac. Seeing as how you didn't listen to the majority of this record, X-Pac, please rate it. I think I just enjoy most music in general. Yeah, me too. I'm kind of along the same. I really do not like modern metal. Omar, I guess we've never sat and talked about like what you lean towards. I've been trying to kind of figure out what it is you're super into, but it seems to shift and change. For what I did here, I'd give it a 2.5 out of 5. That's fair. You're either going to be into this kind of stuff or you're not. But for me, this is definitely going to be an album I put on while I work. And I'm going to sit and listen to it. And the Ghost Eyes in the Firelight, I don't know, man. There were sections of that song that fucking made my heart feel things. I absolutely fucking loved that song so much. But that's not to say that any of the other songs weren't as good. Woodland Caribou was a beautiful way to start this record. Blood and Fur Upon the Melting Snow, that was almost like, for Panopticon, a pop tune. I fucking loved that. A Culture of Wilderness was a straight up black metal tune. With folk leanings in it. I fucking loved that song. Lyset with that little pan flute that played through it was a wonderful little side tangent. I have no complaints on this album whatsoever, and it looks like it's a 3-way tie between 4, 3, and 2 you guys rated on this thing. This bug that is seemingly in my walls is so loud, I gotta call Exterminator to see if it's not one dying bug or wasps. Oh, I hope it's not that. You listen to some more than others. Like, I could listen to this, but it wouldn't be on a playlist for you. My 3 is closer to the 4 than the 2. Maybe in the future I'll do 0.5s. That I want to keep this simple when we're rating these. It was better than the crap you played the last time. Are you talking about that Les Claypool, Sean Ono Lennon record? I agree. It was better than that. 100%. I fucking am so glad we listened to this today. I loved it. It was so good.